South Korea and China will be celebrating 25 years of diplomatic ties. It should be a festive occasion, but relations have been on edge over THAAD. For Seoul, it's a necessary defensive measure against North Korean missile attacks, but Beijing perceives it as a security threat. On our news features tonight, Mok-yeon points out where the two Asian allies stand at this point.
Since last summer, South Korea and China have been at odds over Seoul and Washington's decision to install a THAAD missile defense battery in Korea. The South Korean government claims the system is necessary to protect the nation against missile attacks from North Korea, while China says THAAD hurts its own strategic security interests. Experts say the once bright prospects for closer ties between the two have dimmed.
Relations have soured in terms of mutual trust. Though the two nations signed up for a strategic cooperative partnership in 2008, we have to keep in mind that China is North Korea's ally.
The disagreement has hurt many areas of cooperation. Economy-wise, bilateral trade volume between Seoul and Beijing came to around $211 billion in 2016, down nearly 8% on year. And it's affected people-to-people ties too. The number of Chinese visitors to Korea dropped by more than 1.5 million, or 41% in the first half of this year compared to the same period in 2016. It's now quite difficult to find Chinese tourists even here in Myeongdong, one of Seoul's main shopping districts. In terms of cultural exchanges, China has issued a blanket ban on the import of Korean cultural content.
Initially, lots of Korean dramas and K-pop programs were being shown on major Chinese channels, but these were later limited to cable channels, then to satellite TV. Now, they've even blocked the airing of Korean videos on internet web pages.
As a result, celebrations this year of the 25th anniversary of diplomatic relations are colder than they might have been. In the past, the two held an official joint celebration every 5 years, but this year the observance will be separate, with representatives of each side exchanging congratulatory messages. 25 years ago, things were different. On August 24, 1992, Seoul and Beijing agreed to establish formal diplomatic ties, which brought about enormous benefits, especially when it comes to the economy and culture.
Trade between South Korea and China surpassed that of Korea and Japan in 2003 and that of Korea and the US by 2004. And by 2009, the trade volume between Seoul and Beijing surpassed the combined amount of Seoul's trade with Washington and Tokyo. The two countries are also each other's favorites in terms of humanitarian exchanges.
We can say that the Korean wave started in China with the drama What is Love in 1997, and the appearance of idol stars in the early 2000s. The popularity of such content made Korea proud, but could have made China wary.
Because of the benefits these exchanges have brought, policy experts are trying to help get ties back on track. The organizer of this year's Korea-China Future Strategic Forum says it's important for the two nations to understand each other better.
The problem surrounding THAAD is difficult because it involves politics. But what's more important is for South Korea and China to have a strong foundation that prevents ties from getting worse. And this foundation comes from understanding the characteristics and the changes the two countries went through.
The THAAD controversy, others say, may have also exposed deeper issues.
Even if the THAAD problem gets solved, China will not likely allow Korean cultural contents to enter the country like before. We need a new countermeasure.
Times have changed and it's no longer the Cold War. China has become more competitive, its people's standards of living has risen quickly, and the dynamics of trade and industry are different than they were. Many stress the need for Korea to accept the changes and adapt to them while looking for new opportunities for development.
In the case of SM Entertainment, it focused its activities on China and is now heavily affected by Beijing's ban. We need to come up with a new, phased strategy for every region around the globe.
In the past, we focused on exporting intermediary goods to China. But now we have to look at China as a large consumer market and create higher quality goods that can't be affected by political conflicts.
Mok-yeon, Arirang News.